All right, hello, folks. This is lesson 181, and the title is I Trust My Brothers Who Are One with Me. And I'll go ahead and read paragraph 1, and it goes like this. Paragraph 1. Trusting your brothers is essential to establishing and holding up your faith in your ability to transcend doubt and lack of sure conviction in yourself. When you attack a brother, you proclaim that he is limited by what you have perceived in him. You do not look beyond his errors. Rather, they are magnified, becoming blocks to your awareness of the self, capital S, that lies beyond your own mistakes and past his seeming sins as well as yours. Okay, so the beginning practice of this lesson is we're going to practice today viewing our brothers and sisters, hi Christina, through love's lens. Trusting your brothers is essential. That means when you're trusting your brothers, that means seeing your brothers only as God created them. So imagine you go into an interaction or any situation, and before the interaction or situation, you say to yourself, I am only going to see my brother as God created him, or my sister as God created her. And that's going to be my function in this situation and interaction. What kind of world and life will you begin to create for yourself when you start to see your brothers only as they truly are, only as God created them to be? Transcend doubt. This is when you, sentence number 2, when you attack a brother, you will proclaim that he is limited by what you have perceived in him. And so we're all one, okay? If we attack our brother by judgment, by anger, by resentment, by hatred, what we're doing is we're condemning ourselves because all that stuff has to flow through us first. And so our brother is simply showing us what is living within us. And so when you attack your brother, you're attacking yourself. And so why do you feel tired and why do you feel frustrated? It's because consciously or unconsciously, you're attacking your brother when you see seeing him as anything other than love. Does anybody have any questions or comments on paragraph 1? I believe that iPhone, is that Wendy?
It's me. Can you tell me where we are? I'm very sorry for being late.
It's okay. Lesson 181, page
Okay.
337.
Okay.
For me, it's just showing me that I've been attacking the people closest to me and I had no idea. I was expecting something from them that they may not be. And inherently, that's an attack. And I just haven't been seeing them as they are. And then it pivoted back to myself. And I noticed that I'm looking at myself and expecting something else from me when I'm perfectly created in God's image. So stop being so tough. Just see myself as I am.
Yes. And when you see yourself as something other than God's child and creation, make the conscious decision to stop investing your time, focus, and energy on what is not useful for your life. If something is not supporting you or the life you want, then stop supporting it. Stop supporting it with your time, focus, and energy. And then use that time, focus, and energy to support you, your thoughts, and the thoughts that will help create the life you want. Because you have free will. The Course calls it the holy instant. There's only the now. There's no past and there's no future, really. There's only the now. And in the now, we can align with the holy instant, with how God sees the world and how God is offering the world to us, or we can see it through our past programming, which is the ego's past programming. And when that happens, that's where judgment comes in. Judging, and when you're judging others, when you're consciously judging others, you're unconsciously judging yourself. When you're consciously punishing others because you're seeing them as less than love, you're unconsciously hurting yourself. And so why do we think that we feel this lack of energy? It's because we're unconsciously punishing ourselves with every unloving thought we have of another brother or sister.
You
Hello,
know,
Isabel.
just wanted to add something on looking and overlooking.
Okay.
In order to overlook, you have to look. Okay. Look at lines number 2 and 3. When you attack a brother, you proclaim that he is limited what you have perceived in him. You do not look beyond the errors. We look at our brothers and recognize that that's not their reality. We see that's also called seeing the face of Christ. You do not deny the errors. Okay, errors are for correction and nothing else. You do whatever is appropriate to be helpful in this world. If you see a brother making an error, I'm here only to be truly helpful. How can I help in this case? Your brother's ego is not your brother's. When the Course talks about your brother, it's not talking about your brother's ego. It's talking about your brother's reality. That's who is your brother. So you don't deny the errors. You don't say, oh, well, I can't judge. You notice that your brother is making an error. That's just a mistake. Mistakes are for correction and nothing else. So you act from a place of, I'm here only to be helpful. And you do whatever is helpful to help your brother, help yourself, and help the world in this situation. Okay? You don't condemn your brother. You don't judge your brother to be their ego. This guy is an idiot. No, this guy's not an idiot. This guy is a holy child of God. He may be making some mistakes right now. And my only job in this world is to be truly helpful. How can I be helpful in this case?
See,
Yes. And yeah, go ahead.
Could I say something?
Yes.
It's when, okay, you can hear my birds in the background, sorry. Okay, so I still struggle, and I would say this is often, not just a little, often, because I understand the premise that just like there's no special relationship, you can't say, okay, I'm not going to judge any of these people, but I'm only going to judge these people if what I'm understanding is accurate. However, as you know, I started this with the, coming in during the Israeli war. I have a hard time with terrorists and things like that. And just today I was reading the news, which I'll probably do better to stay away from it, but it happened to be about a nurse in England who worked the pediatric unit and was murdering babies. I mean, just for no particular reason. She just decided that that's what she was going to do. And she killed a bunch of them, and she damaged and harmed a lot of other ones. And, I do hold very strong judgment. I can't see it as a mistake. I see it as, like, you don't deserve to be a human being. How do you kill all these babies on purpose for kicks? So, I guess I could excuse that as being mentally ill or whatever else. I happen to the stuff from the family. She was raised beautifully, not abused, looking for a reason to excuse her if she had a horrible life, but she did not. She was doted on by her parents who are still supporting her. And, she's just a very not good person, or a person who's doing horrible things. You just have to help me with this, because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to move forward, because I understand everything has to be about forgiveness and letting go. And, but I could do, James, what you said, which is ask God to forgive, because I won't, but I feel like this is an obstacle or an impediment. And that I come to all these meetings and I work very hard, but I cannot get past some of these things. I feel like forgiving somebody like that, who is not remorseful, who doesn't care, who denies and killed all those babies, that is somehow being a bad human being, and not supporting the families who lost those children, I guess is how I feel. I feel like if I just say, okay, well, she's a child of God, let it go. her soul is pure or whatever, that I am somehow turning my back on innocent people who deserve support and instead supporting her. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me say something. Forgiveness has nothing to do with condoning behavior. Okay, forgiveness is always for ourselves. Forgiveness means that we can look at all this horrible behavior and we do whatever is needed in this world to help. Now, the best thing that may happen to this person is to go to jail. That's her That's her choice. That's her path. Those are the lessons that she have chosen in this world. Forgiveness means I'm not going to punish myself by holding on to this anger and hate towards that person. I understand that this person is insane. We're all insane to some degree in this world, but we're not equally insane. Some of us are much more insane. And the more we feel an emptiness inside, the more we feel that we have to fill it up with something. I'm somebody. I kill all these babies. That means yeah. It has nothing to do with condemning behavior. To use a milder example, let's say that you're a middle school teacher, and there's a bully that keeps beating up kids in the playground. You don't say, "Oh, and I cannot judge. That's okay. I don't know if that's good or bad." No, that's not helpful. Okay, and condoning this, no, I can't send this kid to the principal's office because to do that is harmful to that kid. You are contributing to the dysfunction. The same thing if you're in AA. You don't say, "Oh, well, you got drunk. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We can't judge." No, that's not helpful to that person.
But
You know,
Mike, that's not what I'm talking about. I've heard you use
yeah,
those examples. I
yeah.
am not, I'm not talking about condoning behavior. Nobody would condone killing a baby. That's
Mhm.
not what I'm talking about. I am saying that I sit in harsh judgment of this
Mhm.
person. I hope bad things happen to her because of what she did. I
Mhm.
think she is not deserving of any goodness or forgiveness because she intentionally went about her way to kill as many babies as she could until they caught her.
Yeah,
And I can't. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying we're not talking about lower level, somebody does something bad. And nobody's talking about condoning behavior. I'm talking about in my heart, I have a hardness against people that I think intentionally, maliciously try to harm other people, especially innocent people like babies.
yes.
And
And so,
I don't
yeah,
walk around all day angry about it. But when I read that story, I sit in judgment. I hope something bad happens to her when she's in jail because she deserves it. And it's not justice that all these people lost children. I do.
yeah,
I'm being
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I
Yeah, let me say this. When we live a life of anger and resentment, whose
yeah.
liver is being cooked?
Mine.
Yes,
But
yes.
you say to forgive, but there's
Forgiveness,
no way
forgiveness,
how.
forgiveness
There's
is always for yourself.
okay.
Forgiveness can also be defined as, I don't want to keep cooking my liver. We can look at that and see how horrible it is and see how, you know, that nurse, okay, didn't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh man, what a beautiful day. I feel so good today. What should I do today? Yeah, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to kill some more kids." That's not the way it happened.
I
She
don't
did
think you
that,
know any
she did
sociopaths.
that because she is living in an internal hell.
I don't think that's true. I don't think you know any sociopaths. None of us here are sociopaths.
Yeah.
Sociopaths don't live in hell. They go about their business. They do not care. They have no remorse. They do damage to other people. sometimes it's horrible like this, and sometimes it's just people who work in businesses who take over another business and don't care how many people lose their jobs. They're just looking to get rich. There are all kinds of people who act in ways, I don't think they're suffering, quite frankly. I think they do not care. That's the whole definition of a sociopath. They just have no remorse, no compassion, no ability to be concerned about what others feel. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time feeling compassion for those kinds of people. Actually, if she got up on the stand, cried, said she felt like she was mentally ill and didn't know why she did these things, I would feel differently. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who just do damage and do not care.
And
So,
yeah, denial is also a strong ego defense. Okay. Yeah, I don't, yeah, no, I'm fine. I just kill babies. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm fine. That's another ego defense. That's a way of telling ourselves, no, I'm really not a horrible person. I kill babies, but I'm fine. I don't care about that. That's another ego defense. Put up a facade of invulnerability. Yes, you will find many, many different ego defenses, and you will see it in our brothers out there. And that is all that is a lesson so we can learn how insane, how destructive the ego, the mentality of egoism is.
okay, so who can tell me then how to move my heart in a direction that I can look at somebody like that? Because I assume this is an impediment to my spiritual growth. I really do. I can forgive all kinds of things. I do not feel forgiving towards terrorists, baby killers, any of those kinds of people. I just feel not good about them.
This is what I would say is, if you don't want to forgive them, don't forgive them. Hold on to that anger and the resentment and that pain, because sooner or later you're going to realize that you don't want anger and pain and resentment. And so don't try to be a spiritual guru tomorrow. Okay, right now I'm really have these negative feelings towards this person because this person is an X or Y, whatever X or Y is, doesn't matter. Okay, like Mike just said, you're holding on to that anger, that resentment, that pain inside of you. Okay, that's fine. Hold on to it, feel it, digest it, experience it, and see how much you really like holding on to that stuff. And then little by little, you're going to start to ask yourself, man, is there not a better way to look at this? Maybe if I had maybe let me not forgive her 100%. Let me forgive her 1%. And then little by little, as you forgive her a little bit more and more, then you have a little more and more peace and more freedom from that burden of judgment. And so whatever it is that you're experiencing, don't push yourself to be an enlightened being. Just process your emotions, but feel how your emotions and your reactions are making you feel, and see if this is what you really want in your life. Because let's say there's a veil between us and who we truly are, and that's the ego's delusional mindset. Okay, let's say you put anger here and you put resentment here and then the hatred here. You're just blocking your light. You're blocking your light, and you did not come to this world to block your light. You came to this world to be the light of the world. And so you're not going to be fulfilling your function as the light of the world if you hold on to those anger and resentment and pain. And so, it's best for you to forgive her. You know that. Deep down inside, even if you don't want to, deep down inside that's the best thing for you to do, because that will free you from that burden, and that will bring you the peace and mind and joy, so you can become a beacon of peace and joy for others. And so just trust your pace, Pace. Trust your pace. Whatever your pace is to forgiveness, to the goal of forgiveness and joy and peace, whatever that pace is, it's perfect. So don't feel forced into forgiveness.
Oh,
Forced.
that feel better. What I could definitely do is what you suggested, which is I feel like it's beyond me to give forgiveness to certain people. But like you said, I could ask God to forgive for me because I feel like that is God can do that. God can forgive anything. I don't feel like I can, but I feel like God can. So that makes me feel a little better. I think I was actually feeling, like you said, trying to force myself. And I'm like, I don't feel this. I would just be lying, because I don't know how to forgive something like that. Not only do I not feel like I don't know how, I told you, I actually feel like I'm not being a good person or that I'm siding with the wrong side if I do that. I know that, sounds antiquated or whatever in terms of good and evil, but I just feel like that. I feel like I'm turning my back on the families who are suffering if I say, okay, sure, I forgive her, but
Um,
I,
I can I piggyback off of some of this as well? This has
Yes.
been an awesome like can of worms, Wendy. It's so like first is like acknowledging those lies that you tell yourself that you're siding with someone because that's also very dual. Um, like you're not guilty for trying to see this person that has done horrendous things through the eyes of Christ. Like it's not like either or. Trying to find compassion when there is so much like evil and darkness and we don't understand why people do the things that we do. I mean, I think it's very admirable that you're even trying to soften your heart in this circumstance. But if we zoom out a little bit and we even look at things historically, I mean, look at Hitler, look at Martin Luther King, like look at all these, like she's just a small example of what we've seen repeated in history when people have been attacked in some way or hurt in some way. And she is just a present day person that's forcing us all to look at our higher power, look at how we want to be a different person in the world, channel that energy that we have that can be one of anger and frustration and transmute it into something positive and take positive actions so that we can be like love and light in our communities. And I think of Gandhi and his saying where he said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And so when you hear things like this and you see things like this, and especially you that like I think you're a teacher, like how can you be in your environments and be the complete opposite of what someone that has such a malicious heart, like be the complete opposite of that. And so there is an opportunity there for you to reframe and for you to be like, okay, like I want to be someone that loves children. I want to be someone that children can be safe in their presence. Like I think that it's always trying to find the opportunity instead of getting caught up in the like stuck in the dirty diaper, stuck in the emotionality. It's like, okay, how can I take opposite action and change these negative emotions and then create something positive from what I'm feeling and experiencing inside? Because it's not the first and it's not the last. And there is no like Hitler, he thought he was doing the right thing. Like he thought that what he was doing based on what he grew up with and his patterns and his way of seeing things, he really thought he was doing the right thing. And and it's almost like an innocent ignorance. And we don't know what she went through. I don't care how much people are investigating whatever. Like people that are not well that do those things, like there's no way that she's okay. There's no way that maybe there's a skeleton in her closet that maybe she doesn't even know about, that maybe she experienced, and it doesn't justify it. But like we don't know the whole picture and the whole story, and the course talks about that. Like we don't know why these things happen. We can't see the future. We don't know like the past. We don't know her past. We don't know what was going on in the present, and we don't know the future. And maybe hospitals will start to implement stricter procedures for like who's even allowed in these, like who was running this department, like sometimes like you have to look at those things and you're like, who's running these departments that like these things are happening and people aren't being checked psychologically at deeper and more extensive levels. Like I think it's just a reflection of where we are as like uh a nation, a world, and how can we continue to like strive to be better and then implement the things that need to be implemented. Like something good will end up coming of this. Whether or not, you know, we see it or understand it or even get to see the full blown like ripples of what comes from this, maybe even in the medical industry and stuff.
Well, thank you, Christina. I can certainly take the point that looking at harshness in the world can encourage us to be kinder because the world needs it. I can certainly take that point. But assuming that everybody is always doing what they believe is right or the best thing at any given time is a little beyond me. And I'm a little bit older than you, and I've lived through some things that you haven't lived through. And I can tell you that not everybody is doing what they think is best all the time. And there are some people who, with malice, try to harm other people, and they don't necessarily think they're right. And, you know, I've witnessed it. I've been part of it. Unfortunately, I've been the victim of it. There are people who are just very cruel, and you know, you can say it's mental illness. You can say whatever you want. You know, it's their ego. It's not their soul. Maybe they do have beautiful, pure souls underneath, but it's a far stretch to say that somebody who kills millions of people or is responsible for killing millions of people, you know, if they've convinced themselves that they're doing something good, I don't see how they're not living in a real world.
You know,
Or
let me jump in there. There's a line in the chorus somewhere that talks about approximately that believing that cruelty brings value to your life. That's another ego defense, and that is an ego defense about all cruel behavior, all that has to do with feeling horrible about yourself and feeling that that somehow you're justified, and you find any justification, you know, thinking that, and you see that in politics nowadays, you know, where you justify, oh yes, you know, he's showing me how justified I am in hating all these people, and there's nothing wrong with me. I'm totally justified in this, and that's an ego defense. And the ego defense is about the fear of God. It's the fear that somehow I'm not quite good enough, but I want to project that somewhere else. I want to find some group of people that, although they're evil and I'm going to be cruel, you know, I'm doing God's work. I'm going to fight against them, kill all those people. That's an ego defense. That's one of the most horrible ego defenses. There's many. Okay. And what you're doing is you're hiding from yourself. What we're doing is avoiding looking at all the guilt and horrible feelings that we're holding inside. No, it's not me. It's look at those evil people over there. So I'm totally justified in going out and killing those people. All of those things. What that does when we see that is help us to see how incredibly stupid, insane, and self-destructive and destructive and self-destructive is the egoistic mentality. It's the mentality of egoism. It's very destructive of ourselves and of others around us. We become what the Course calls the teacher of fear. We
so,
think that
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we think that by projecting that fear and that hate and out there on somebody else and taking some cruel action, that we're going to feel better about ourselves. That's an ego defense.
But do I understand the course correctly that I understand two levels, but there's no sin, there's no uh, there's no evil, there's none of this because you believe this world isn't real. None
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
exists.
yeah.
Let
Let's
me
talk
let me
about
let me let me yeah.
let me just say one thing. Let's talk about the level of oneness and the level of duality. Okay, this course gives us an intellectual framework in the level of oneness. But this course doesn't deal with oneness. It says this course remains within the ego framework where it is needed. Okay? It also talks about level confusion. In the level of oneness, no, there is no evil. All this is an illusion, it's not real. Level confusion. You play that to the level of duality. Oh, no, there is no, it's fine to send 6 million people to gas chambers. It's not real and stuff like that. In this world, it is. In this world of duality, yes, there is a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering. Okay, and the course doesn't say, doesn't talk about condoning behavior. Okay. We talk about World War II. Is it evil to have decided, no, we got to fight the Nazis, so we got to put a stop to that? Is that an evil thing to do? I mean, it's war. Would have been more loving to say, okay, we don't care, let him kill as many people as he wants. It's not real. Would that been a loving thing to do in this world?
Yeah, let's keep
We're here
let's
only
keep
to be truly helpful. Yeah.
okay. Our goal, let's make our goal right now to finish this lesson before
Okay.
before it's too late. So would somebody like to read paragraph 2 and 3 together, please? Mike, would you like to go ahead and do that?
Sure.
Paragraph 2 and 3.
Sure. Let me go 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Perception has a focus. It is this that gives consistency to what you see. Change with this focus, and what you behold will change accordingly. Your vision now will shift to give support to the intent which has replaced the one you held before. Remove your focus on your brother's sins, and you experience the peace that comes from faith in sinlessness. This faith receives its only sure support from what you see in others past their sins. For their mistakes, it focuses on are witnesses to sins in you, and you will not transcend their sight and see the sinlessness that lies beyond. Therefore, in practicing today, we first let all such little focuses give way to our great need to let our sinlessness become apparent. We instruct our minds that it is this we seek, and only this, for just a little while. We do not care about our future goals, and what we saw an instant previous has no concern for us within this interval of time wherein we practice changing our intent. We seek for innocence and nothing else. We seek for it with no concern, but now.
Yeah, and so this is line number 5 on paragraph 3. We seek for innocence and nothing else. And so imagine a day, like in lesson 181, that you dedicate to seeing only the innocence in somebody else and nothing else. No matter what the ego tells you about what he or she did, no matter what your past is telling you about what he or she did and how you're supposed to judge and condemn that person for whatever it is the ego says they did. Only choose to see their innocence. Only choose to see them as God created them, and nothing else. Don't support any other idea other than their innocence. And it's just a practice. This is just a practice. Let us practice seeing what it would kind of feel like to see your brother and sister as God does. It's not saying that you're right or wrong for not judging or judging. None of that matters. Just practice for one day seeing your brother and sister's innocence and nothing else. What would that day kind of feel like? And so that's what it's inviting you to do. And paragraph 2, sentence 5, remove your focus on your brother's sin, and you experience the peace that comes from faith in sinlessness. So if you yourself, you yourself have the key to your peace of mind. And so if you don't have peace of mind, it's because you're not choosing to open that door to peace by seeing sinlessness instead of sin, by seeing judgment instead of forgiveness, by seeing condemnation instead of compassion. And so remember today, see your brothers as innocent and nothing else. And if you're not seeing them as innocent, don't blame the outer world. Don't blame them. Look inside of yourself. You're the one who's holding yourself back from the state of peace. Well, that's good news. Because if you're the one who's holding yourself back from the state of peace, then you're the one who could bring yourself back to the state of peace.
Guys, I have another class that I facilitate on Wednesdays, so I have to leave.
So, Mike, before you go, can you just repeat what ego defense is? I couldn't write fast enough.
The ego has many different defenses, many. It needs many defenses because it's a delusion. One of them is the idea that I am totally justified in feeling all this hate and going out and killing all these people because they are evil and I am a good person to go out and kill them. And I feel great about that. That's an ego defense. Okay, see you guys. I gotta get going. Thanks.
Later, brother. Yeah. And remember, no matter what the ego's defense is or what it's taught you that it is, it's not real or true. Nothing the ego says to you is real or true. And so there's no defense against a lie. A lie is simply a lie. Don't buy into the lie as true. And so whatever the ego is telling you to do or how to see your brother and sister, that advice is false. And why follow false advice? It leads you nowhere near the state of truth. And so, yes, we seek innocence and nothing else. Any other comments on paragraph 2 or 3? Or anything that stood out for anybody?
Well, for me, what's coming to mind right now is sometimes being out in a place where someone feels intimidating or there's like an energy of domination. Like sometimes I'm afraid of certain people. Like where is that fear misplaced in me? What am I afraid of, actually?
Well, it's something in your past. And you're carrying it forward to the now, because if you saw them in the now, only as God created them, peace would result in your mind and heart. But there's something in your past that's triggering that in you. And so you carry your past onto the now, and so you obscure the now. And so you can't really see them as they truly are. And that's where fear comes in. Fear is just your bringing the past into the present, covering over the present, and then not seeing them as they truly are. You're only seeing a reflection of some past in some other person that you didn't heal, and now you project it onto that person in front of you. And now this person in front of you is not somebody you should be scared of. It's somebody you should be grateful for, because you're projecting onto them some false belief that's living inside of you. And so when you heal that false belief inside of you, you are able to heal that past.
Oh, I feel like it just happened right now. I was able to just like see it happen real time inside of my body, where like my heart was just so afraid and just like beating and racing. And then I realized, no, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, this is perfect. They're not going to hurt me. Everything's fine. Because innately everything is good. Everything is good.
Yeah, in the holy instant, every moment is a gift from God to you, to in some way, shape, or form help you heal, grow, and awaken. And so when you're projecting this false belief onto other people, this fear onto other people, that's something that was living inside of you. They're just helping you see what's living inside of you. So when you realize that what they're really doing is helping you see what's living inside of you that does not belong inside of you, then gratitude becomes your response to them.
Yes.
And then you can heal that part of you and replace it with forgiveness and compassion and understanding and mercy and grace and peace.
Hmm.
And so when you realize that's what your brother's service is to you, you become grateful for that.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, very grateful.
Any other comments? Christina, I see your mind thinking.
No, it's been very good, and I like what Ryan said, because I've had to recognize that a lot in myself as well when I fall into those like pit holes of fear. And really, I've had moments when I feel empowered and I feel supported by God, and someone or a situation can present itself, and I know that I'm going to be able to navigate it because I feel that strength and that empowerment and that guidance from within me. And then I've had those moments where I'm like eclipsed with fear, and I'm a completely different person, and I'm navigating the situation in a completely different way. And so what I was thinking a lot about as you were speaking was like that fear versus faith. Like, am I trusting that God's going to carry me, that the Holy Spirit's going to guide me, and that things are going to unfold and I'm going to have the capacity to navigate them? Or am I now putting this person or this situation in the place of God, thinking that they have more power over me and the circumstance and the world? And it's like, whoa, I've put this person in the position of God, or I've put this circumstance in the position of God, and I'm not believing that all things are going to work themselves out. And so I recognize that within myself all the time. But it is like a spiritual workout, because you recognize it, you see it, and then you're a little stronger, and then you're like, I have nothing to fear and nothing's gonna happen. It's not like there's this like big bad wolf that's gonna come after me. But like what James said, I think it's a lot of like the past and then bringing it into the present moment, and that happens to me a lot as well. So I can definitely relate.
Yeah, so sentence number 3 of paragraph 2. Change but this focus, and what you behold will change accordingly. And so if you're fearing somebody out there, that's you're viewing them through the ego's lens. And you do what you do in the eye doctor, where they do change lenses. And but if you see, and that means you're carrying the past into the now. But if you see them only in the now, only as God created them, then you'll have a sense of security and certainty and peace, because you know that God would never send anybody to you that would not in some way, shape, or form help you awaken and heal. And so use those moments to not trust the ego and the ego's definitions, but instead to trust God. And remember that because God has your back, all will be all right. And that person is here in some way, shape, or form to serve you and to help you see that all is okay.
Yeah, it was just a reminder for me that this was misplaced fear. I had nothing to be afraid of. When that person presented themselves to me, they were actually just really kind, calm. And I had this projected idea that this person was going to hurt me or do something bad to me. When in reality, they actually helped me a lot, because they helped me overcome that. It's amazing. And it's one thing I would like to say is how this lesson that we're going over right now is like literally as this lesson is happening, this situation presented itself to me. Like of seeing my brother and having faith in them and trusting them, and not seeing them as something bad that's gonna happen to me, but something good. Like, so you guys know, so I just sold something, and I was like worried because I gave someone my address and they were coming to pick something up in the middle of this lesson right now. And then they came, and as I walk outside, like I'm filled with fear. I don't know why, like I'm afraid this person will do something bad to me, but yeah, it was super cool. And they just left, and then they came back. So it really gave me like you said, God literally has presented this situation right now in my life for me to learn from, literally as I'm learning the lesson. Just like, wow, it's amazing.
Lovely. All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 4 and 5?
I'll read them.
All right. Thank you.
A major hazard to success has been involvement with your past and future goals. You have been quite preoccupied with how extremely different the goals this course is advocating are from those you held before. And you have also been dismayed by the depressing and restricting thought that even if you should succeed, you will inevitably lose your way again. How could this matter? For the past is gone, the future but imagined. These concerns are but defenses against present change of focus and perception, nothing more. We lay these pointless limitations by a little while. We do not look to the past beliefs, and what we will believe will not intrude upon us now. We enter in the time of practicing with one intent, to look upon the sinlessness within.
Beautiful. The past is gone. Paragraph 5, sentence 2. The past is gone, the future but imagined.
And I love the sentence before that, where in paragraph 4 it says, and you have also been dismayed by depressing and restricting thought that even if you should succeed, you will inevitably lose your way again. It's so self-sabotaging. Like, it's almost like I'm predicting my own failure, even if I have a moment of success.
Yeah, because if you allow yourself to look through the ego's lens, the ego's lens is like one of those little horse things, whatever you call them, blinders. Is that what they call them? Blinders. And it says, okay, everything here equals success. Everything out here equals failure. That's the ego, because the ego is a need to control you. And it says that sooner or later, you're going to skip this part here and you're going to be a failure. And it's going to show that you haven't grown at all. But you can see the world through that lens, or you can just take those blinders off and instead trust God. What if you trusted God, that you have co-created with God a perfect, divine, sacred journey? How will your judgments begin to fade away if you knew that every moment was sacred and divinely inspired by God as a gift from Him to you? What would you have to fear? What anxiousness would you ever have if you just decide to say, you know what? Okay, maybe I don't understand why this is happening at this moment, or why this brother or sister is reacting this way, or why I'm reacting to this brother or sister in a less than loving manner. That's okay. Let me just use this moment to practice catching myself and seeing that I'm somewhere in my mind and heart where I do not belong. I do not belong in the state of doubt or anxiousness or fear. I don't belong there, because I was not created to do that. I was just programmed by my past to feel that in that way. So let me put my past programming aside, consciously place it aside. Place aside the thoughts that are not working for you, the beliefs that are not working for you, that are not delivering to you the life you want. And instead, practice using those moments to trust God more. Just trust God more. What do you have to lose by trusting God more?
Nothing.
Amen.
But
Isabel, yeah.
But I also think it comes in time. Like, I think it also comes in time, and like from experience of like what happened with you, Ryan, where you continue to have those moments where you recognize and you observe the fear, and then you see that things are okay, and then you see the miracle where you have a shift in perception and the experience unfolds in a different way. And as those start to accumulate, you start to trust the process a lot more. At least that's been my experience, because now something happens and I perceive it as negative in the moment, but I'm able to take a couple steps back and remind myself of like all the different times that I perceived something as negative, but I couldn't see around the corner. And then once things unfolded, it was okay, or I learned something, or I was able to navigate the thing with grace, or like it happened again in the future and I was able to like manage, And so I think also with time and trust, that's the beauty. Like, I always call it historical evidence of like, we're gonna be okay. We really do get through so much more than we think. And in time we start to trust that process.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that it's been happening the last couple days where I'm able to get myself out of the hole faster than I did before. And I just remember, okay, this is an opportunity for me to forgive myself for treating myself this way, really. And then I come back and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm alive. Okay, I'm alive. This is good. Let me keep going. So yeah, the historical evidence, I like that.
Yeah, and then the way to make peace with your past is to see that all those times in your past that you went through these type of situations, they just helped you practice spending less and less time in the delusion and more time in the state of peace. So, like Christina said, every time you have these kind of situations and you get through them after the ego was recommending fear and anxiousness, and you see that all was okay, the more you get to practice seeing those events in your life and how helpful they were to help you spend less time in fear in the next time that happens, then you have appreciation for your past, because now you see that your past just helped you become who you are today. The more a person feels safer in every situation and in every moment, a person who trusts God more, simply because of all your past experiences.
Well, the what I'm thinking right now is that the reason that I was afraid of these people coming to my house is because when I said like, "Oh yeah, here's my address, come pick it up," like what I thought was God spoke to me and said, "No, don't tell them your address. Like, don't tell them." But then I saw how why would God give me a thought of fear? That's not true. And then I was able to just, even though I still felt it in my heart, like, whoa, like I feel scared, I feel afraid. I know that God wouldn't give me he wouldn't give me that situation. I think that really helped me move through it, even though I was still feeling the fear, because I knew like that's not true. And it's just nice to talk about it and say that, talk about it out loud.
Yeah, you could use those moments to practice inviting your guardian angel in and saying, "Hey, guardian angel, you might not be with me in this little interaction," and then you fill yourself with light, and you fill all of yourself with light and trust. And then when you fill yourself with light, and you know that your guardian angel is with you, that Archangel Michael, invite him in and let him be by your side, and then walk steady and strong, knowing that the good is with you, love is with you, and all will be all right.
Yes. 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 Yes,
Isabel,
I'm really happy, guys. I'm really happy. I just want to say that. I'm really feeling super empowered right now. I'm feeling really happy. I feel like this is a miracle. So thank you, guys.
thank you. Isabel, did you want to say something? Samir, or
I was
Yeah.
very intrigued by what we learned the other day from Christina about make the ego our amigo, and I thought that was very helpful, and I was using that in my work today, and I was wondering if she had any light further to shed on it. It was very helpful for trading and stuff like that, and so. Christina, if you have anything to add to that, I'm all ears. And for some reason, my camera isn't working, but normally that would disturb me. But I feel so fine. Okay, it's not working. I don't know why it's not working.
No, I don't have anything to add, but there you go. Like you're letting go of your preferences. Like you're releasing your ego even in something as small as your camera not working. Like I think that everything is an opportunity for us to practice because I can get caught up on those things. Like I don't know, it's happened to me where something small is happening and I get so narrow focused that I'm obsessing and obsessing and obsessing about that little thing. And like that's my ego. It shows up in big ways and it shows up in little ways. So even for you to be like, "Oh, it's not bothering me." Like it's like different situations will come and it's beautiful that we can like sometimes just easily release it. And then there will be a moment where we can't because it's inevitably going to happen and we're like, "Oh, there we are, you know? I need to keep coming back to these classes." Like that's what keeps me coming back because I know that I'm still insane. I know that I still act insanely. You know, if I was enlightened, I'd probably be like, "Oh, okay, whatever. Like I'm gonna go who knows where." you know? But it's like I keep coming back because I need you guys to remind me, like, it's still there, it still creeps up, and like, how do I navigate life and like on life's terms and not get sucked into the story of my ego and the illusion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's better to see the ego as your amigo. For those who don't know Spanish, that's friend. Than than the enemy, because to see the ego as your enemy, it gives it a power it has never had. The ego has no power because the ego is nothing. It's not real or true. The only power it has is the power that we give to it. But if you start to see the ego as your amigo, in the sense, the ego is showing you each and every time the thoughts, words, emotions, and interactions you do not want. So if the ego is showing you what you do not want, it just gives you a clearer path to understanding what it is that you do want. So you can use the ego as an amigo, as an ally in your awakening process, not as an adversary. And so when you learn to use the ego as your ally, as the person, the thing who shows you what you do not want, who you do not want to be, say, thank you, ego. Thank you. I know I don't want to be that angry person, that resentful person. Oh, thank you for that, ego. Thank you.
I kind of see my ego sometimes more as a crazed toddler. So it's, you know, you got to love it because they're hilarious and amusing, but you also have to, you know, keep them out of harm's way because they're stupid and they think they can do anything and they think they know everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's sort of a ridiculous thing that's running you. And that's how I see it, because toddlers are actually crazy. You know, they are. They think they know everything. They think they think they can do anything. And the ego is very similar. It thinks it's exceedingly powerful. And when I'm identified with it, it is running me. You know what I mean? Like I'm believing what it's saying and I'm doing what it's saying. But this course has allowed that space where I can be like, okay, you're being crazy, and here, let's just sit down for a little while. You need to rest. You're going off. But I call it Migo. So I think that's funny that Christina calls it her amigo. I named mine Migo when I was first learning about this because it's mine and it's my ego. So it's my Migo. But
Oh, good.
I do want to say, despite, you know, the struggle that I have, and while I was reflecting and listening to Ryan and also thinking about the things that we've talked about in the past, I realize, I think I understand why I have such a hard time with certain types of forgiveness. And I think I said it by accident, which is things were done to me when I was young that were not right. I was abused and nobody ever, they saw it and nobody did anything. And they let it go, acted like it was nothing. And I feel like I can't do that to other people. So I think where my judgment comes from is actually from a loving place, believe it or not. I feel like it's, you know, hateful or mean or wrong because of what happened to me to do that to other people, to act like their pain is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the line from your past to how you feel now. That you feel like you should protect the innocent, basically. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with protecting the innocent. In fact, that's courage. And it just you're just every time you protect the innocent in that way, you're showing your younger self that you were worth protecting. And so every time you protect the innocent now, it's just a way to help heal your child's self that wasn't protected.
Well,
And
maybe my unwillingness to forgive is what I'm saying is a distorted version of that.
right, exactly. That's a distorted version of protecting your young self. You protect your young self by bringing peace to your young self, by reminding your young self that God uh, that God is with her, and that no matter what the situation is, she will use her experiences for good in the future. And so just don't judge yourself for wanting to protect the innocent, because that's just a way of you showing your child self that she's worth protecting. And so, but when you protect the innocent now, do so with peace. Find a way uh, to protect the innocent in a kinder, gentler manner, and you'll find your way through it. But it's good for you to see that line where you now, you know, where you're now protecting those innocent people because you were hurt in the past. So it's a very useful thing that you connected.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think also in what you said, or at least what I heard, was in like doing nothing. Or you said something like
Yeah, nobody did anything about it.
and not doing anything about it. And it's like sometimes doing something about it doesn't have to have um like aggressive ways of expressing something, you know, like there are ways that we can do things and it's not so black and white. Like if I don't do things and I don't, it doesn't look a certain way, then that's nothing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Or no? Maybe
Yeah.
that doesn't. Like
Explain that.
it's not so black and white. Like if you don't hate the like it's not so in a box where it's like, oh, if I don't hate this person that's done this, then I'm doing nothing. Like there's a gray in that, if that makes any sense. Or I don't know if James, you can maybe put into words what I'm trying to say if you understand me. Like it's not so black and white. It's not like, oh, I side with this person or that equates to I'm doing nothing. Like it's not so dualistic, if that makes any sense.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Or maybe
Like
not.
me not forgiving this person is not helping those families, but I feel like acting like it's okay. And I know it's not condoning the behavior, but I guess for me, forgiveness suggests in some way that I'm going to let it, let it go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's harming those families, even though they don't know me, I think is the way I'm trying to express it. But I also feel
It's
like
personal because it's
it is
more personal.
yes, it feels personal to me. And also because of all the things that happened to me, I think I did use everything for good. I think I am in a profession where I get to help people, and students are drawn to me and they come to me when they have problems, and I try to help them because I understand them, and I love them and I want them to feel okay. But by the same token, I also feel that I am while I am also excruciatingly um, aware and empathetic for other people's pain and suffering, I feel also I have an excessive awareness for people's darkness, dark energy. I feel those vibes. I'm not trying to take anything away from what Ryan was talking about. That clearly was a projection and everything was fine. But I have had experiences in my life where I have sensed a real darkness in people, and it turned out to be real, like true, that this person had something seriously wrong with them, had caused a lot of damage to other people. And I tried to warn other people to stay away because I could see it. I knew what was there. I could feel it. And I was right. And so I don't know if, I'm trying very much to learn from all of this. It's helped me immensely. My anxiety levels have gone way down. Even my fear of death has dropped immensely since I started doing this. And I try every day to be kinder to people, to be more compassionate or whatever. But in some ways, I feel like I'm being told to turn off my senses, like to ignore my intuition, to ignore. I'm uncomfortable with that, because safety is a big thing if you grew up like me. You know what I mean? And I always tell myself, you're safe in your defenselessness. I repeat these things to myself. If I feel that I'm feeling unsafe in an unreal way, not from something that is true, but from something that I am that isn't accurate, then I do tell myself those things, you know. But in other times, I feel like maybe I just have really good perception and I should trust my concerns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, trust is a expression and reflection of love, and so it's okay to trust your feelings. And if you feel it, you know, something is not right with somebody, trust your gut. You know, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with trusting your gut. I mean, God gave you your gut for a reason. So, he's
Well,
a
that
men-
brings up the question for me, is that then are those thoughts of fear then and doubt, which has been established in the book, that all of these are illusion, they're all false. So how do you reconcile some feelings protecting you, yet it says the truth is that all of these feelings of fear, all of these feelings of doubt are untrue, an illusion. The truth is perfection.
Yes, well, that's when you get into level 1 and 2 of the course, where level 1 is oneness, where all is love, and then the level 2 is a duality, where
Mhm.
black and white exist. And so it's simply about learning to trust, trusting in the divine design, that everything, no matter what happens in the ego's world, everything is going to be used by God for good.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a little matrix that changes with whatever situation. If a situation is going the wrong way, God will somehow turn it around or use it for good. And so,
Ah, I see.
and we're eternal, right? The truth in us is eternal, so we cannot, in quote, be killed. Even though yes, we can, no, our bodies can't, but our truth will never be destroyed. And so it's just a lot of level 1 and 2 stuff.
I see. So it's taking it even from the highest perspective and saying, if you were to die, that could be for your highest good.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to
I see.
pass, there's a good probability, I would say, and obviously that's above my pay grade, you know. But
Yeah,
there's a very good probability that you made a contract to pass away in this when you
I see.
decide when you passed away.
I see.
Or maybe for the people who were left behind, maybe they had something to learn in your passing, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
So when you trust in the divine design, even when you pass away, you know, you'll be at peace because you know that, hey, I completed my mission.
Mhm.
But yeah, that thing about trusting your gut and feeling safe, then you should do that. You should trust your gut and feel safe, because God wants you to be at
Mm.
peace. So if your gut is telling you, Wendy, that, you know, don't trust this person or whatever, you know what? Don't follow your gut.
Okay.
Because who's giving your gut? Who is giving your gut feeling? More than likely, is probably God.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Mhm.
So and gut and God, they both have 3 letters. So hey,
Mhm.
just look for the signs. G and G.
So,
Okay.
James,
Yes.
the gut feeling can come also from the ego.
The
Can you
feel-
reflect and say, hey,
Oh,
this is what I see, this is what my intuition is telling me, and I see you cheated on me, and I see you doing something wrong to me, and, because it comes from people are, reasoning in another level, can come and blame you, from trying to shame you and stuff. I'm talking about for experience. And then you go like, but it's not really what I want. It's not really what I mean. No. My gut is telling me. So it's like, come on. I mean, is it a gut from the ego, right? Making you believe. They want to convince you, that what the gut's saying is the truth. So I struggle a little bit here with the sinlessness, because I don't know if it is the reasoning or the addiction on my partner that at times she blames me for things, and for whatever reason, it's hard for me, it's hard to to continue on patterns that there is a lot of love, there is forgiveness, there is good things, and then go a mistake, and then goes wrong, and then goes the blame, and then here goes the breakup, and then comes back. Is that a healthy thing, or I'm the one that says, oh, that's unhealthy? Because some moments, at times we go like, oh, you know what? We're learning about this. Oh yeah, you know what? This is you triggering me, I'm triggering you. But then we see that like later, after things have, after all the struggles and sometimes the damaging emotionally that we think we have caused, because in reality, it's just a feeling that comes, and we, as you were saying, okay, stay in the feeling, and then, go through that, and something's gonna come out after that. But we are judging to these moments. I don't know. I was trying to think on my struggle with my relationships, and trying to see from a different point of view, to see it from the learning experience, to see it from the teacher of fear, teacher of love, that we are to each other, because everything's our relationships. And on how many times I see myself doing good decisions at work or with coworkers and stuff. And then all of a sudden, if to me it's a good decision with my partner, she may see it differently. She may see it like, no. Like, I want to rent an apartment. I said, like, just for myself. I said, I'd rather rent it. I want to move with my daughters. And she said, no, that's wrong. Oh my God. That, so I go like, it's innocent to me. It's a good thing to do. And I'm being blamed because I'm trying to do something that's going to give me peace. It's a high mortgage. I'd rather rent it. I have my other house that I want to go. But it's like, it's making me feel like I'm the one causing the pain here. And I just have to forgive myself for the judgment as well, But it's also part in the course that we were reading, seeing the sinlessness in me. That gives me peace. That gives me peace to see the sinlessness. Even though for her, I'm the sinner.
Yeah, because like we talked about earlier in class, the ego's going to put these blinders on, where it says that a relationship has to be in this little circle here, or else it's not perfect for your healing and awakening. If it goes over this parameter, then it's bad. But if you were to trust God with your life and your relationships, and you place the blinders down, then no matter what happens, God is going to use for good. So even those arguments, those difficult and challenging times, you're going to learn something from that. And you're going to become a more compassionate, a wiser person. And you're going to become better in relationships thanks to those experiences. And so if those experiences that the ego would have you condemn were actually those experiences that helped you become a wiser, more compassionate, loving, forgiving being, then were those bad, in quote, bad things according to the ego, were they really bad in the first place? If they are helping you become this wiser, more compassionate person. And so don't allow the ego to dictate what's right and wrong in relation to your experience in the relationship. Just practice, okay, whatever is happening in the relationship, just practice trusting God more. God, I don't know why I got into this argument with her or him, but I know that for some reason, this argument is going to help me see things differently, or help me see things in a brighter light, or help me grow, heal, and awaken in some way, shape, or form. And so I know that this argument that I just had is for my good. It's for her good. And so thank you, God, for this argument I just had. It's a beautiful thing. It's going to help me become wiser, more compassionate. Thank you, God. And so, don't just always do what brings you peace. Like we always talk about in the course, your job is a miracle. The miracle's extension, that's God's responsibility. So you always do in your heart what you think you should do. And let the chips fall where they may, because God is gonna roll the dice, and the dice are gonna come out not craps.
Hmm.
James,
so-
how do you tell the difference between the gut and ego, what she was asking about before?
Okay, so the ego, let's say you get into an argument, okay, with
Mhm.
your girlfriend or boyfriend. The ego would say, oh, I got into an argument with them. That means they're bad, or they're not nice, or maybe I'm not spiritual, or I'm not good enough. It's always about judgment of self or others, the ego is, and looking at that situation. So if you decide to use God's lens, love's lens, you're going to see that every situation is here to help you grow, heal, and awaken. And so even though the ego defines that situation as bad because you argued or whatever, God sees this as a blessing, because there's something you're going to get from that. There's something higher that you're going to get from that. Maybe you won't recognize it right now, but maybe you'll recognize it in a month or so, or whatever, whenever. But everything can be used for good, and that's the difference. God sees the good in it. The ego only sees the judgment and self-judgment.
Can I say
Wow.
something, Isabel?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
what I heard you saying was about, like, if you did something and maybe you trusted your and you thought it was right, but it turned out not to be the right thing, and you said something about forgiving yourself. And I would think that, if you know that you were making the best decision you could at the time, you thought you were doing the right thing, even if it did not work out well, then this is just an opportunity to forgive yourself. Wouldn't you forgive somebody else who made a mistake? If they were trying to do the right thing and messed up, especially think of a child, or somebody you love or whatever, you would never want to make them feel worse. They made a mistake, so you should extend yourself the same grace that you would extend to anybody else. And I have had a million times in my life where I've thought I was doing the right thing and did something really stupid. I don't know why, but the immediate thing I thought of is when my daughter was a baby. I was so worried about her getting sick and getting germs. I was trying hard to keep everything clean, and I boiled all her bottles and her nipples. And then years later, I read that all this crap leaches out when you boil plastic. And I'm like, I fucking poisoned my kid. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to keep her safe, and I did something terrible. And what could I do with that? There's nothing for me to do with that. I was trying to be a good mom. I was trying to do something loving, and I hope it didn't harm her, but it might have, but there's nothing I can do about it. And I think about it still 19 years later, but there is nothing I could do. I really did think I was doing the right thing for her. So sometimes, even if it turns out poorly, even if you don't even know how it's going to turn out, which is me, I don't know. I hope it doesn't harm her in the long run. I don't know if I'll ever find out, but I did what I did, and I have to let it go. There's nothing else I can do. I know in my heart that I did it with pure intentions, and that's it. That's all you can do. I made a mistake. So that's it.
Thank you, Wendy. Beautiful.
Yeah, so
And we put it.
extend yourself grace. Extend yourself grace. You're always doing the best you can with the knowledge that you have available to you, the spiritual, physical, and emotional knowledge that you have available to you. So if you're always doing the best you can, and your girlfriend is always doing the best she can with the tools, emotional tools you have available to you, then appreciation is your only response to her and to yourself, because you did the best you could in that situation. Was it did it turn out to be a little loud? Maybe. But you did the best you can. So offer yourself that grace. Extend yourself grace. Okay, let's since
Thank
it's getting close to 8:30. So let's finish up the
Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much, Ryan, Yvonne, James.
Actually, let's finish we'll read just finish reading 6, 7, 8, and 9. We'll each do one. Okay, I'll do 6. We recognize that we have lost this goal if anger blocks our way in any form, and if a brother's sins occur to us, our narrow focus will restrict our sight and turn our eyes upon our own mistakes, which we will magnify and call our sins. So, for a little while, without regard to the past or future, should such blocks arise, we will transcend them with instructions to our minds to change their focus as we say, "It is not this that I will look upon. I trust my brothers who are one with me." Would anybody like to do 7?
I'll do it.
Okay.
And we will also use this thought to keep us safe throughout the day. We do not seek for long-range goals, as each obstruction seems to block the vision of our sinlessness. We seek but for surcease, an instant from the misery the focus upon sin will bring, and uncorrect will remain.
Number 8. Somebody like to read number 8?
I can do.
There you go.
Nor do we ask for fantasies, for what we seek to look upon is really there, and as our focus goes beyond mistakes, we will we will behold a holy sinless world. When seeing this is all we want to see, when this is all we seek for in the name of true perception, are the eyes of Christ inevitably ours, and the love he feels for us becomes our own as well. This will become the only thing we see reflected in the world and in ourselves.
Number 9, somebody?
I'll finish.
Second. Okay, go.
The world which once proclaimed our sins becomes the proof that we are sinless, and our love for everyone we look upon attests to our remembrance of the holy self, which knows no sin, and never could conceive of anything without its sinlessness. We seek for this remembrance as we turn our minds to practicing today. We look neither ahead nor backwards. We look straight into the present, and we give our trust to the experience we ask for now. Our sinlessness is but the will of God. This instant is our willing one with His.
All right. Any comments on those paragraphs?
It just reminds me that if I see anything in my brother, if I see something to judge, it's actually something within myself that I can forgive within myself. So I'm just going to be more proactive moving forward. And if I am extending any judgment upon anyone outside of me, just see how is this helping me look at something within myself and then not judge it within me.
Yeah,
And just look with love.
Yes, because nothing is really happening out there, so to speak.
Mm.
We're defining what's happening out there.
Mhm.
If we are the ones who are in control of our experience, then we can decide to choose non-judgment instead of judgment, choose peace instead of pain. And so when we are seeing something out there that's less than loving, we're just projecting our internal conditioning to that thing or person.
Hmm.
And so that thing or person is just showing us what we're holding within, and does not belong within us. And so thank that person for showing you something that's inside of you that you do not want to support anymore with your time, focus, and energy. You don't want to support judgment or hatred or resentment or fear or shame or guilt. That's not what you want to support. That's not what you want to see.
Hmm.
You just want to practice seeing with loving eyes. It says, the eyes of Christ inevitably ours. So imagine seeing your brothers and sisters through the eyes of Christ, through love's eyes. And what kind of world and what kind of day, let's just say, what kind of day would you have if you made the conscious decision only to see through love's eyes, only to see with non-judgment?
That'll be the best day ever.
Amen. And that's free will. That's our choice in every moment. In every moment, we can choose what kind of day we want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, before every interaction, just remind yourself, okay, what kind of day do I want to have? How can I fulfill my function as the light of the world in this interaction?
Mm-hmm.
And then align with those energies and reflect those energies out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments?
I like this one. I like this whole discussion of sinlessness and all of our innocence.
Mhm.
I think that it's, it may be hard for me to see sometimes, as we've discussed, but I feel like a beautiful feeling in the discussion of it. Like I feel like I can, I know beyond this eternal, this grace, this, perfection, this oneness. I It's like little tiny, teeny little pinpricks in a veil, and you see that little bit of light just come flying through, and you're like, oh, that's what I wanted. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to feel. To me, that's what it is. Like, I I may not have the whole picture. Clearly, I don't. And I may not be able to even before I die. I know I'll know everything then, but it's beautiful to me when there's a little piercing through those veils, when I can sense what's behind there. It's a very that is where I feel peaceful and joy, actually, both together. When I sense that, when I can see a little bit of it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
It feels like it comes full circle when I have those moments as well. Like like with your awareness today after our conversation and after what Ryan shared, I love when I have those experiences because I'm able to, it's like such a shift where I'm starting to now be able to like recognize my own actions, where they stem from, how I approach things. And then I do think that that has helped me like see that others too have had their experiences that are also contributing to who they are today. And then I'm able to see the Christ in them, because even though we've all suffered in different ways, we've all suffered. So as long as we've all suffered, I know what it feels like to suffer like you've suffered, even though my taste of suffering was different.
And
Beautiful.
that gives you compassion for others. And when you recall that we're all one, why not have the same compassion for yourself?
Yeah.
You have the same compassion for yourself by choosing to see your day through Christ's eyes, through love's eyes. When you see your day through love's eyes, peace results, joy results, appreciation and gratitude results, kindness and charity results. That's having compassion for yourself. And so when you are expressing those reflections of love, you're showing compassion for yourself. When you're kind to somebody else, you're showing compassion for yourself. When you're charitable towards somebody else, you're reminding yourself that you're worthy of God's charity. When you're offering mercy and grace to somebody else, when the ego says they don't deserve it, you don't. You're reminding yourself that God is offering you mercy and grace, even if you don't deserve it yourself. And God is just offering you that mercy and grace because that's His love. That's what He does. And so why not try, just for like a day, to be like God is? Why not try to extend His light? What would that day look like? If you just said to yourself, you know what? Today, no matter what happens, I'm going to extend mercy, compassion, and grace to everyone I interact with. No matter what they think, say, or do, my response is only going to be compassion, mercy, and grace. Period. The end. No matter what my ego recommends or demands, my only response to them is going to be compassion, mercy, and grace. Because in doing so, I will remind myself that I'm also worthy of compassion, mercy, and grace. Because as God's child in creation, that is my inheritance. Compassion, mercy, grace, and all of love's expressions are my inheritance, that I inherited from love Himself. So let's try that.
Yes. Tomorrow.
Cool, guys.
What? What?
Cool.
CMG, compassion, mercy, grace.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. And
We
see
need
the
to
innocence, right? The innocence in the other.
we need something like printed up so we can like hang it to, like a little reminder every day, like of what James just said. Like today, no matter what the ego says, I will extend love and mercy and grace. Is that what you said? Or compassion and grace?
Yeah.
Put an
Yeah,
alarm on your phone.
I want to
you
hang.
I mean, you can listen to him 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I know, but
Now
that,
Sleep.
that little nugget,
marathoning.
no matter what the ego says today, I will. I like that sounds like a really good intention to set and to, like to help me. I don't know. Christina gave me a beautiful little, you gave me that beautiful little thing with the serenity prayer on it. Like I feel like I need something like that with this on it. And like I want to hang it from my visor. I'll just look like, like people who dangle things from their mirrors in their cars. Like I want something to remind me of that because I only do it rarely. It's very easy, as I always tell my students, it's very easy to offer half of your sandwich to somebody if you already had lunch. It's not so easy if you haven't eaten for a couple of days. And so that's the crux of this here. It's very easy to be kind, loving, and compassionate to all the beautiful people that I see every day, my students, you guys, because I love you all, because I see you're beautiful people. You know what I mean? That's easy. It's not so easy with people who, aren't so nice, aren't so kind, aren't so loving, are mean to you, say cruel things, are rude. That's where the work comes in, you know. And I found myself able to do it sometimes, and then other times it seems to go by me. I like to have a little reminder. I wish I had a little alarm that would go off that would say exactly what James just said every time I have a negative run in. I would like to. But I will say this for anybody who wants to hear it. This course has made me less reactive. This course has given me huge opportunity. I can see it in myself. And I was with a friend traveling and I love her. I've known her since I was 12. She's extremely judgmental. I love her. I don't care. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Kindest, most devoted. And she said to me while we were having a conversation, this is not even a joke. I told her a lot about this group. She said I was anti-Christian. And normally, under normal circumstances, that would make my hackles go up. I would become defensive. I would, probably just argue or whatever. And none of that happened. None of it happened. I just smiled at her. I said, I'm not. I said, I think you've probably misunderstood some things. I can explain them to you if you want. I said, but I'm not anti-Christian. There's not a possible way I could be. You know what I mean? Like I'm learning about Jesus right now. I can't be I can't be any more okay with Christianity, spending my hours talking and learning about somebody who scribed what Jesus recommends. But it was okay. You know what I mean? I love her. And I understand why she would perceive that because I'm Jewish. And over the course of our relationship since I was 12, I have probably noted a number of times things that are overtly Christian and ignoring Jewish. And that's how she would have got that. But my point is, it really didn't even offend me or upset me. And I was so shocked by the fact, because you can cover any kind of feeling if you want to, but I didn't even need to. There was none of that. I just totally was fine. I was like, well, you know, it's not accurate, but it's okay. Like it's okay.
Beautiful.
If you know me in my history, that would be talking to a completely separate person than I was. Completely.
Yeah, that's what's called a miracle.
We're growing.
Beautiful.
Growing. Oh yeah, I remember. What's it? City of Angels. There was one of the angels was the older guy. The grandfather. Did you guys remember City of Angels with what's the guy's name? Famous actor.
I don't remember who.
Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage. Well, his construction worker guy, who was an angel before he became a human, had a granddaughter, and then they went to Nicolas Cage went to the party at his friend's house, and then the granddaughter said what kind of Christina just said. Oh, I can hear you growing. And you're like my dad. You're like my grandpa. You know. So yeah, we're all growing. Each and every day we're growing. It's just that we don't notice it. Our ego doesn't allow us to notice it. And so we come back to grace. Have grace for yourself. Know that each and every day you're growing. And that each and every day you're starting to remember who you truly are and what you came here to be and share in this world. And when you fall, that's all right. It's okay to fall. Just catch yourself falling, and recognize that's not who you are. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to be in judgment and anger and hatred. You want to be a reflection of peace and compassion and grace and mercy. And pat yourself on the back. You know, the ego is so easy for the ego to have you judge yourself. But how many times do we actually just pat ourselves on the back for whatever it is that we did that was an expression and a reflection of love? And so let's be more self-compassionate and offer grace to others. All righty.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Any final comments about it? Any final comments? Or everybody's
I wanted to just say I'm so
Thank
how
you.
grateful to understand this part by giving it, you can have it. You know, because as Wendy was saying, how can you give your sandwich to someone when in 2 days you haven't eaten? So when we are in lack, we can give. However, by giving others, we are in this case, you know, of course, giving compassion. Maybe someone is trying to tell you that you're so damn mad, so you're doing, but you're having compassion and understanding where it's coming from. Probably it's having a bad day, but then giving it to yourself, because one way or another, you know, it's gonna come back to you same way. So it's a beautiful thing to start giving the compassion, the love, the mercy, the grace. Thank you guys. It's been an awesome session today.
Yeah,
Thank you all. I'll see you all maybe. Ryan, we have a class also on Monday. Pardon me, Monday at 7 p.m. So just FYI.
Okay.
And thank you, Samir, Wendy, Isabella, Christina.
Bye, guys. I'll see you Sunday.
Bye, James. Bye, guys. See you Sunday.
I appreciate all of you.
All right.
Blessings. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.